Now, Pluto in Aquarius is the time you want to get your shit together because time is running out within the factions of the simulation, which is going to be active at about a great separation. The chosen ones, the 144,000, versus the NPCs who conform to the system. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is the embodiment of a big shift that's based on spiritual metamorphosis, which is the precursor to trials and tribulations that's activated by spiritual affliction that manipulates everything in third density because physical destruction is facilitated by spiritual energy that's transmuted from the cosmos. So this is the fourth quarter of the energy extraction matrix, the time where you need to wake your ass up and step away from the religion. Because monotheistic religion doesn't coincide with the timeline that we're basically on right now. Because congressmen just made a public service announcement at a UFO hearing talking about UFOs, IAPs, and extraterrestrial life basically exist in the ocean. So this is basically going to eradicate your whole perception of monotheistic religion for those who are stuck in that frequency. And like I said, if you haven't done your shadow work, if you haven't worked on yourself, Pluto in Aquarius for 19 years is going to whoop your ass. So it's time to tighten up. It's time to get your shit together. It's time to turn on your spiritual and your mental fortitude.
Pluto is entering into Aquarius for the next 20 years. From now, November 19th, 2024, to March 8th of 2043. And because of this, I'm going to start off with the fixed signs first, because Aquarius is a fixed sign. Now, if you are an Aquarius, sun or rising, this is going to affect you most potently, most intensely, because Pluto will be in your sign. And basically from now to the next 20 years, you're going to go through a bunch of transformation of your physical body, of the self. You're going to be, if you were an Aquarius with a low self-esteem or dealt with problems like that, now is a time where you're going to be empowered through these next 20 years, where you're going to find your power. But first, you're going to have to enter into Phoenix mode. What does that mean? That means that you're basically going to have to break down the ego and things of yourself, have a dark night of the soul so that you can emerge as this new, stronger Aquarius. This will be a very intense time. There may be attacks on your bodies. You may get even electrocuted during this time because Pluto is in Aquarius, which could be deadly. Or you could be facing circumstances in which you feel like you're being electrocuted, or like traumas, because Pluto has to do with traumas. It has to do with exposing. It has to do with breaking down all the simple components so that you can emerge a stronger person or have a stronger foundation. And for the next 20 years, you'll be going through that. You may go through a glow up to go to a glow down, okay? You may have the death of yourself spiritually, physically, or psychologically, but you will be reborn again, and you will be powerful at this time. Now, Aquarius, I see that maybe you could be making a lot of finding inventive ways of expressing yourself, becoming this new person. I could see that maybe you want to put yourself out there on social media. That'd be very much good for you. But you have to be honest and you have to be truthful. Not to the point where you're like schizophrenic and you're burning all your bridges, because that will result in another tearing down of the self. But something that connects you to other people, that keeps you in your true purpose during this time. Your evolution is now, Aquarius. Good luck. And don't abuse your power, because Aquarius, you still belong to the planet Saturn, and Saturn is daddy. And when daddy sees that you're misbehaving, daddy will punish you. And because Pluto's in Aquarius, he may actually take you out. So be careful with that. For my Taurus suns and risings, Taurus, we have been through this push and pull, this tug of war of who we want to be. If we want to be somebody else's mate, or if we want to be somebody else's helping partner, or be ourselves. We want autonomy and we want control. And most importantly, we want control and autonomy over our public image of ourself, of our own career and path. Many Tauruses have been getting stuck. Many Tauruses have felt that they have been dead and not living their purpose. But during this time, you're being called to. You are going to be front and center, okay? You're going to be quite magnetic, because Pluto will be in the area of career and vocation and public image. So during this time, you want to transform how you come across to other people, how you're going to be figuring out your true purpose, what you truly want to do in this life, career-wise. You want to have control over your own path, your own finances, your own career, your own You want to be a new you. And the world is going to see you transforming from one person to the next person, seeing you be empowered or disempowered during this time. Pluto does come with its perks, but it comes also with its declines. And so when you do have, I hate to say this, and this is not a promise, but this is something that could happen, but you could be humiliated. You really can, in the public eye or publicly or at your career and your job, because Pluto, it brings those type of experiences to break you down only to build you back up even more stronger and be more resilient. So I would watch out for that at this time, because if you're becoming this new person that you've always wanted to be, you want to have control, like fellow Taurus Janet Jackson, then it will take the death of your career, the death of your public image, so that you could revive it and become somebody else new. And you will be doing that for the next 20 years. People will be seeing you for the next 20 years. People will try to expose you. But if you are truthful and you're like an Aquarius and you're like, hey, this is me, this is how I get down, because Pluto's in Aquarius, plus you are a Taurus, you will kind of be like love for being who you are. But Pluto will be squaring the sun in Taurus and the rising sign. So it's a tug and a war between a push and pull between being laid back and then finding your genius, being erotic, being in control, being that wild bull. So I would watch out for that during this time. It's going to be a tug of war between who you want to be naturally and who you want to be out in the world, and it's up to you to figure that out. And good luck, because everybody will be watching. But you'll be quite magnetic and sexy too, and kind of tragic. It's like a train wreck that you can't look away from. Honestly, you can see the healing process, the pupa to the metamorphosis, the butterfly, because nobody can look away from any of you guys, Taurus. And yes, it will be uncomfortable, but deal with it, because you asked for this. You prayed for this. Now, my Leos, my precious little golden Leos, the Pluto will be operating in your 7th house when it comes to your one-on-one relationships. Some of you may get married to get divorced. Some of you guys may have friends or close loved ones that you thought were your besties, only to turn out to be your worsties, your enemies. There'll be a lot of contracts that you are underneath that will promise you power, but will promise you sacrifice, because that is Pluto, right? It's going to be a death and rebirth of who you're contracted with or to, excuse me. And it's going to require you to vet easier. To vet, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to require you to vet more vigilantly, because your relationships will be tested. You'll feel like you have gone through a rebirth or a death of your own relationships, and then I feel like there will be a death in your relationships, or you could lose a partner or a best friend or contract. But to other people, it's going to be this constant push and pull between who has the power. Do I have the power, or the person in the relationship has the power? Am I willing to be alone so that I can have my own autonomy and my own power? Why do I feel like I need other people to give power to me when I can feel powerful on my own? These are the things, the questions that will be asked for you Leos out there, to take a regal sign like you and basically knock you down a peg to everybody else. Will be quite the humbling experience from now to the next 20 years. But when you regain your own power with and be authentic in who you are, you will begin to draw in people who are really meant to be there for you through thick and thin. Death do us part. You'll find your soulmates in your tribe at this time, but you must be true to yourself. You must vet the people in your life and not be afraid of what the next day would look like with you and a partner. And remember that you do have power. You just don't need to abuse it, because when you abuse it, you'll attract abusers. So good luck for you and Godspeed, Leo. Last but not least, Scorpio suns and rising specifically, you'll be facing a lot of transformation around your home, your family. There'll be a lot of stuff revealed about your home or your family just out of the blue. Like, what type of lineage are you a part of? Were there any witches, any praying people? or even who is the predator in the family. You're going to be finding out a lot of family secrets, and it's going to cause you to move and to transform and to figure out who you are, who your emotions are, where you come from, why you have these triggers. It's going to be very psychological, but healing at the same time when it comes to your family, your home, and your emotions. Now, during this time, I could see you actually maybe losing a home, possibly losing some family members, in the process feel like you're losing yourself. But Scorpio is the phoenix, and you guys survive everything, so I believe in you. I also see that you could be going different places, like just up and out of the blue. You feel like moving somewhere else or living somewhere else, or circumstances will push you to live at a different area. But what I see is that maybe it could be a lot of violence or darkness that's causing you to move. Or maybe you just want your own privacy. But you must remember that the transformation of your emotions are reflected with how you move within your own family and within your own immediate environment in your home as a homemaker as well. I don't know if we're going to be adding on more members because there is a death, but there is a life in a family. So you could be losing a family member and gaining another one. You could be having a baby, or you could be having a baby cousin, or a niece or a nephew. But what you're going to do is going to be have a metamorphosis of the soul, which is very common for Scorpios to have during this time. So expect that from now into the next 20 years, and you can survive. All you fixed signs can. I believe in you.
Pluto is not in Aquarius. In fact, it is just barely in Capricorn and will be here for about 20 years. Okay, so I'm just showing, I'm recording this live Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, the day that has been hyped the F up on social media as the dawning of the age of Aquarius and freedom for the cardinal signs and all of this. It's literally all over my feed, both on TikTok and on, well, less on TikTok. I don't really consume a lot of TikTok, but on Instagram for sure, I'm seeing it all over the place. And I've been inspired to make this video to show you in the true sky what is actually happening. So here's Aquarius, okay? And we have Saturn in Aquarius, but it's not Pluto, okay? So the point of this video, what I'm trying to do, I made another video a couple days ago that's gotten a lot of attention, and not surprisingly, there's a lot of people upset with what I'm saying. People are like, oh, who says you're right and I'm wrong? Like, there's all these people saying this, so like, how is what you're saying correct? So here's what I have to say about that, folks. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about thinking for yourself. Tropical astrology is not actually based on what is happening in the sky. It is a social construct in that it is resonant with people because people are putting energy behind it and talking about it, but it's not representative of what is actually going on in the sky. And I've received a number of comments on this saying, well, this is astronomy and not astrology. And so then I reply and say, what's astrology? And people don't know. So here is what astrology is. Astrology is the science of following certain planetary beings, celestial bodies, so planets and asteroids, along the path that the sun follows. So it's just our solar system, what follows the sun, which is called the line of the ecliptic. In this picture, it's the red dotted line that you're seeing. In other videos I've made, I've shown this app going through the entire line of the ecliptic so you can see all the different constellations. Okay, the constellations, the star clusters, are the zodiac. Okay, so the combination of the energy of the celestial body or planetary being and the specific constellation that it's moving through is what astrology is. Okay, so when they say Pluto is in Aquarius, it means that it's in the constellation of Aquarius, but it's actually in the real sky in the constellation of Capricorn, which is a different energy. Each of the constellations have an archetypal energy. They follow a pattern as well. Okay, I will make more videos detailing that as well, but for now, this video would be way too long if I went through all of that. Okay, so that's how it's supposed to work. Now, the difference between tropical astrology and what I'm talking about is that tropical astrology was affixed to the spring equinox in 200 AD, or so they say. Okay, so around that time, it lined up. Okay, Aries season, when the sun entered the constellation of Aries, the Ram, was March 21st, and it worked out that the line of the ecliptic was exactly where it needed to be for that to be accurate. But there's something called the precession of the equinoxes, wherein the line of the ecliptic, this dotted line that all of the planetary beings follow, moves 1 degree every 72 years. Okay, so over time, it has become inaccurate. So for example, in tropical astrology, I'm an Aries sun. In the true sky, the sun was actually in Pisces when I was born. Now, there is another system called Vedic astrology, Eastern astrology, that does take into account the precession of the equinoxes. However, there are a couple things that are different from Vedic astrology and what I'm talking about, which is called true sky sidereal astrology. And the main difference is between true sky and Vedic is that Vedic still thinks that every constellation has 30-degree points, so it is even. But if you look at the other videos I've made, there are different sizes. The constellations are different sizes. So different constellations have different lengths of time that the sun and other beings are in them, okay? Also, there is a 13th zodiac sign over the galactic center in the same spot in the sky as Scorpio that has been hidden from us, okay? It's a pattern interrupt, and again, I will make another video on that specifically because there's a lot to say about that. Okay, so that is the main difference of what I'm talking about. So when it comes to tropical astrology being a social construct, what I'm saying is that our authority is being put outside of ourselves. We're being told this. And because our reality is created based on what we believe, we are creating the effects of it, but it's not what is actually representative of what is going on. We don't need Pluto in Aquarius to feel free. You can decide that, okay? But Pluto is actually in Capricorn, okay? So the reason why I'm so passionate about putting this information out there is that, like, it's not, people are like, oh, I'm free now, like, oh, this karmic cycle and this and that, but like, that's not actually what's happening. You're being told that. And so you're creating that, or you're feeling that, you're perceiving that because that is what you believe, because it's what you've been told. And you're putting your authority outside of yourself instead of thinking critically, looking at the sky and deciding for yourself. So that is what I have to say on that. I am going to continue to create content and information both on this platform and YouTube in order to help connect people with this information so that you can take your destiny and who you are into your own hands. You don't need anything outside of yourself, even me, okay? Like, it's not a matter of I'm right and everybody else is wrong. It's a matter of deciding for yourself and reverting that power back inside of yourself, taking the power back from outside of you and realizing that it's coming from within you this whole time.